All right.
I guess I ain't got no reason to ring you around. I found a superwoman that could leap from the truck in a single bound, mommy. Still work her tongue and make me come faster than a speeding bullet. Her love stronger than a locomotive, but only for the F-A-B-O-L-O-U-S. Sing to me, ma.
Like Oprah Winfrey, who dropped out of college to begin her TV career as a local news anchor. You think Michael Jordan, who as a teenager was rejected by coaches for being too short and is now a household name, honey. Jay-Z. Homer was told he was terrible, just terrible by record labels. And I have to sneak this one in. Prince was even rejected by a label, saying he just didn't have what the label was looking for. What? Now, both of these artists are one of the most heavily sought after collaborators, artists of our time. And Damon John was rejected by 27 banks to start up his hip-hop clothing, Damon, right? My bad. Clothing brand FUBU that would generate $6 billion in revenue worldwide. Passion. Passion is the excitement and the joy we feel in doing something that we love, people. Love. So tonight, the business of being black is turning your passion into a profession. And I've invited the perfect panel of guests to share their personal journeys of stepping out and following their dreams. Please welcome world-renowned DJ Brian Henry. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Tammy, how you doing this evening?
Good. Celebrity fashion designer Octavius Terry. Hi, Octavius.
Hey, Tammy, how you guys doing?
We're great. An actress, writer, and stand-up comedian. My girl, Daphne Springs, is up in this piece, too. Hey, Daphne.
Hey, Tammy, how you doing?
Fine. Before we get started, I want to get on Octavius for a minute. If you guys can just slap that suit up there for me real quick. I'm going to need that right there, Octavius. That right there.
Gotcha.
Because that is just the dopest. And I know why it's the dopest. It's because when you do what you love and when you have a passion for what you love, it shows in your work. And it also shows in your worth. So we're going to be talking about that cash over tonight too, okay? Now, the first question, the way we traditionally start the Tammy MacShow is with the why. And so tonight I ask, why should black people care about being passionate about their profession? Let's start with you, Octavius.
I think they should be passionate because, I think, it is what you would willingly do without getting paid for it. And if you chase the passion, the money will always follow you. And this is probably, I would say, my third career. If people know who I am, this is probably, I'm like a cat with 9 lives. I'm a former United States Olympic hopeful and a former banker, a former musician, a former singer. But I think that the thread that is the common is that I've been always passionate about everything that I've done and just chase the experience, and I've never had to worry about the money. So I think that that's the most important part. Chase the passions, chase the dream, the money will come. I think that chasing the money is living in scarcity. Chasing the dream is living in abundance.
Yeah, and also, but I think it's a little bit more than the money, because even if you're doing what you love, the money may not seem to matter as much. I don't know. Daphne, why should black people care about turning their passions into professions or turning their professions into passion?
I mostly think I would agree with everything Octavia said, but also I would like to add on that despite we all live in America here, and despite systemic racism and discrimination and all these type of things, that the odds that are stacked against us, America still is one of the countries where you can go from nothing to something. So I think with that being said, you should really chase your passion, because you live in a place where you could actually live your dreams. Like you talk about all these three people that you introduced, like Prince, Oprah, Jay-Z, and the guy who owns FUBU, and just to see what they took an idea and just made it into, some of them, billion-dollar ideas, right? So I think that you have to take advantage of the time that you're living in and the place that you're living in, because I've traveled other places in the world and other people don't have that opportunity. So I think that if you're not, really chasing that opportunity, you're really kind of like a raisin in the sun.
That's a good one. Yeah, you dried up, festive.
Drying up.
Brian, why should Black people turn their passion into professions?
I mean, I deeply and strongly believe that you're unable to honor yourself and honor the God-given life that you have within your lungs if you're spending 10 to 12 hours a day doing something that you're not passionate about. I deeply believe that everyone's built with a unique skill set, a unique talent, a unique gift, and that when we cultivate and honor that talent, we live a life that's passion-driven, a life that's full of mission and purpose. And, it's important for us as a culture, African Americans in particular, to align with that. If we ever want to raise to a true sense of freedom where we're not looking to more or less look for our value in other places outside of ourselves, we have to dig within and pull those gifts out that we've all been innately born with and put them to use.
Yeah, and Octavius, you were saying don't chase the money, and I was sitting here thinking, like, when you say don't chase the money, the thing about it is people assume that money makes you happy, and we have been shown time and time again that that is not necessarily true. And so if you're doing what you love, if you're doing what you're passionate about, whatever that may be, that happiness and that joy comes within that doing of the thing that you love. The joy doesn't come from the money that you make from it. The things come from the money that you make from it. And those things create a very temporary sense of happiness. But it's the thing that you are doing that creates the joy that's inside of you, I would say. Daphne, how do you feel about that?
Well, I would say I agree and disagree on that, because a lot of people say don't chase the money, which I agree. In the beginning, it should be about the art, but eventually you have to turn that art into a business. And a lot of people think that just living their dream and being poor, like we see this a lot in LA, where you get a lot.
Understand how girls and girls sing. I'm not your average chick, 'cause they can't do it like this. I was sent to save your day, and things will be the same. You know me, yeah, you are, but I'll save you. I'll save you.
I think that's just.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not suggesting that you work for free, whether you're passionate about it or not. So that's not what I'm saying. And
oh no, I know you weren't saying that. I know you weren't saying work for free, but
I'm definitely not encouraging money. I'm not encouraging financial ignorance either.
Yeah, financial ignorance. People shouldn't have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Octavius?
Yeah, I agree. And so, and like Daphne said, I think I'm interesting as far as a fashion design is concerned. And I just like to get back to Damon John, because as a fashion designer, I followed his career, and it was the passion that kept him going past, I think you mentioned 27 banks. I know his story of like like selling everything he had and going out and getting these seamstresses and living in an apartment with seamstresses just to get it up afloat. But like Daphne said, I think I'm interesting as being a fashion designer because there's a small window. I mean, there's a small line between creativity and commerce. So I think as a, I went to school at Georgia Tech and I have a business degree. So I'm one of the few designers that actually I talk to myself almost like a bipolar situation where I create things, but I'm also that person that says, wait a minute, this is not going to sell and that kind of thing. And like Daphne said, I think that you have to really, once you get past the passion and you're really trying to make money, I think passion gets you through the door, but it's that creativity and that commerce that keeps you there and it keeps you sustainable and it keeps you pushing. So I think you have to have a mix of both, but I think it's the passion that gets you through the door.
Yeah. Brian, at what point did you think that this could be more than a passion or a hobby? Or, you know what, let me start by asking you this question. What is your passion and when did you discover it?
I think I've always known my passion is music, sharing music and watching people's response to how it energetically charges them. A few years after college, I decided to walk away from that corporate life and pursue it full time. But I think, when we talk about passion and drive and mission, all those things are inextricably linked. But when you add the money component to it, you got to make spiritual claims over money. You got to pray from a place of abundance and saying thank you for making sure not only my needs are met, but I'm operating from a place of overflow. Oftentimes we go to prayer and we're like, please, God, please, and that's not that doesn't get necessarily where we want to go in life. It's already operating as if it already exists and expressing gratitude for everything that we want to manifest in our lives. You know what I mean? So that passion for me has always been there since a kid, and I'm thankful to be now a full-time DJ and party rocker for the last 11 years now. And there's no way that we would be successful if we didn't run it as a business.
Yeah, there is. I think there's a Bible verse that talks about pitching your tent, and that whole scripture is about pitching your tent as if you are preparing for whatever that thing is to come. So yeah, Octavius, what about you? What is your passion, and when did you discover it?
I think my passion, like I said, I consider myself a hummingbird, but I'll be 50 next year, and I think that of all the lives I've lived, I think my passion is service unto others, whatever that is, and right now, service to me, to others, is fashion design. And Tammy Mac, I just got to say, like, I'm so happy because I just got to shout out Brian Henry, which I consider my brother there, because we both moved to LA. This is a first for Fox Soul, but I'm so glad to see him on here. But I don't know, Brian, I don't know if we want to spill the beans, but when Brian was transitioning out of the corporate world, I too was transitioning out of the corporate world. We both moved to LA. I was 1 year in design school, and I think we might have gave him like one of the first DJ events on board yet, and I was still in school. So I want to say first and foremost, I'm so proud of you, Brian. I follow Brian. I was out actually doing Derek Fisher's wedding just recently, and I came out there to fit Derek, but I made sure that I came to your block party because I think that's one of the most important things as creatives going into entrepreneurship, that we support each other. And I want to say right here, I'm so proud of you.
Absolutely.
We were there doing it together. I was 1 year in design school. He was DJing. And look at us now, 11 years later, on the Tammy Mac Show on Fox Soul. So kudos to you.
Hey, all right.
And talking about it.
Dream tonight. We're going to take a quick break, but don't you go dream. Stay up. We're coming right back on the Tammy Mac Show on Fox Soul. I don't know what to call you after Miami.
All right. Peekaboo. All right. Let me get us some light. Let me get us some light. This is Fox Soul TV Tariq. Let me over and out. Let me share my display with you guys. Now you see the display. Now you see me. We have been going through It's been difficult to make this thing happen. There's a lot of corruption that's been transpiring, right? I have a video on YouTube called 18 Documents. All you gotta do is spell out the number 18 Documents. All right, check it out. Asking some information from you guys. This is going to the Department of Justice, right? This is, let's see, this is an official notice that I'm filing a civil law case against the United States of America. A civil lawsuit. This is an official notice to the Department of Justice. Since I don't really know who to send documents to, because the U.S. government is so unofficial, I got to organize. All right? So, if you notice that there will be an official seal on my documents. You see that official seal that says Mobile Fitness Legal? All right? And then, in the top left corner will be my business card. I wrote that in 2005, y'all. 2005, I wrote that. I wrote those words on that business card in 2005. All right? Now, all right, let's pause that. Let's get back to the Tammy Mac Show. Y'all see me? Y'all see me? Y'all see me? All right, let's
Girl, you have been
expand.
killing it, rocking it for some years now. And I know you have been like pounding the pavement in that comedy world, doing your stand-up and making things happen for you. And then lo and behold, what happens? You make it happen on your own, on the Instagram. I mean, an influencer out of this world. But I'm going to go to another thing because everybody knows your comedy and your sketches. But at what point did you think that you could be more, like at what point did you think that this could be more than a passion for you, doing Instagram posts?
So I knew when I learned from other people, so they were able to tell me like the possibilities of being like a social media influencer. And so after getting rejected from a couple of sketch shows and that didn't get picked after making it all the way to the testing process, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make my own content online, do things my way, of the things that I think is funny, entertaining, build me a little team, and just focus there. So my goal originally was, I didn't know the money possibilities like fully. People had told me, but I really was focusing more in of building an audience would still generate cash because you get those butts and seats at comedy shows. And so it would generate cash that way. And then I didn't know, I learned later about brand deals and ad revenue and stuff like that. And, you know, just to be able to see the possibilities, my biggest platform is Facebook, and I absolutely love it. I have videos on there topping near 40 million for one video. And I have quite a couple, 30 million views on videos and stuff like that. And to be able to go and travel around the world and people recognize you just from doing, you know, sketches is quite amazing. So
I don't even think I follow you on Facebook. I follow you on Instagram.
Instagram, I don't even really post as much. It had like probably a tenth of the content that I put on Facebook. On Facebook, I have up towards, I think, close to 700 sketches. So, you know, I don't even have that many posts, I don't think, on Instagram.
But is something like that like a job? And by like a job, I mean in terms of the time that you put into it.
Absolutely. Well, now that once you start to make money, you can start to allocate a lot of the jobs to other people. So now I have a videographer, so I don't have to worry about, you know, taping that day. I have someone that can handle that, and I know that it's going to be right. And then editing, I have someone for that. So once you be able to like give those jobs out to other people, then it takes a lot of strain and stress off of you. But back in the day when I was doing everything myself, yeah, it's like a job. But I always wanted to do this. When I dropped out of college, I said I wasn't going to go back home. So, you know, I moved out here Christmas Day, December 2009, and I said I wasn't going to go back. So if I have to put in those 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever, that's what I'm going to do. Because why wouldn't I put it in for myself when I could put it in for somebody else? And I think a lot of times when people are chasing their passion, they tend to not put as many hours in it. But if you could put the same hours, because it's hard to hold yourself accountable, right? And really show up and show out. So if you can do that for a job, you have to give that same dedication and time that you would when you clock in for yourself. And once you do that, I think you'll really see things come to fruition.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny though is you said to yourself you'd never go back home. Technically, you could still be who you are today, even if you were at home.
Well, I wasn't gonna go back home, you know, broken down. And you know what, Tammy? Remember I used to do your Tammy Mac mixers. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
We have a connection too.
We definitely have a connection, but thank you for shouting the mixes out. I appreciate that. Let's go to the soulmates because they are in the chat room chatting. So Joy, Joa, says, maybe that's Joa. Money does not make you happy, but it gives.
Okay, soulmates. So I do my own commercials. Actually, I do my own music. I do my own music commercials. So in this next commercial, I'm making music with my mouth. One take, baby. One take. Check it out.
The minimum requirement for the Olympics is to be the best.
How's this? Don't make me angry, big guy. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Little games with a nigga strange, the names, little games with a nigga hang, man.
I'm sure most of you remember the sensational She-Hulk.
Girl Hulk.
Come on, Hulk. I mean, how's it?
My pull parts, I'm a shark, that's a fact. Huh?
Watch my back this time.
Yeah, Star Watch.
Oh, you are so useless.
Tell us to be joined by past y'all at a private listening event.
Why, Tony? Why?
Presents now.
Sorry I'm late, everyone. I was just busy punching this guy. Supergirl.
Tell us me to DJ for past y'all at a private listening event.
Hear you over the side of me. Bitch, pressing.
Tell us me to DJ for past y'all at a private listening event.
All right. I was gonna say, She-Hulk, you feel like smashing things? Pretty much all the time.
Please send the bill to Tony Stark.
The minimum requirement for the Olympics is to be the best day like she is.
Exactly.
Me, because like I said, like it's exactly what Daphne said. I need to give that time to myself and to what everybody has been feeding into me to just kind of get back, lead into service, and to really just do this. So my second stint into this just recently, so 11 years, and then back, and then now this is it for me.
So when you say you went back to the dark side, you mean you went back to corporate America?
Well, I wouldn't say corporate America. It was on the creative side. I actually led in service and led, a college across the country, leading fashion design students.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were still doing what drives you.
That's what I said, yeah, but at the same time, it's exactly what Daphne said. Even though I was doing that and leading into service and everything that I was doing, I needed to give myself time to feed into myself and get that opportunity and be able to provide opportunities in a different way for those same students, to my family, but to follow my passion 100% without any excuses, without being comfortable, to create an uncomfortable position where I know that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I also believe that you got to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? You have to have some sort of plan and goal to kind of give you some stability and some sanity along the way. Because without a plan, you'll be like, oh, Lord, I have no idea if anything is possible. But Brian, you left corporate America too.
Absolutely. And I knew from day one.
I want to know the day you said, this is it, I'm done.
I knew from day one that it wasn't for me, but I was pursuing the traditional path that, the thing you should do. But, waking up every day going to that job, it just wasn't for me. And I had to ask myself, because I was on CrossFit, I was preparing to go to business school, and I said, well, I could go to B school, but that's just going to get me further away from what it is I want to do. And so I always knew I loved the presentation of music and how people feel. So I told myself, well, okay, let's go do this for a year. And if it doesn't work, you can always go back to grad school and never turn back. I was a prospect to go to Harvard Business School. I've done a summer venture management program there. And so, as you can imagine, my family was not too happy that I would walk away from the possibility of graduating Morehouse and then going to Harvard Business School to become a DJ. But the blessing is that Harvard Business School has become one of my clients, So it's really interesting how things come full circle in terms of the blessing that we start on you.
The irony of it all. Daphne, look, I worked at Victoria's Secret, got fired, cold fired from Victoria's Secret. I worked at Radio Shack. Oh, that's old. That's aging myself right there. I want to know, where have you worked? What's been your journey?
I used to cocktail waitress, so I've worked at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. I've worked at the Venetian Palazzo. I worked at MGM Grand Detroit, and I worked at the Coconut Creek Casino. So I used to get these cocktailing waitress jobs at casinos. So that was like my thing. Because they would pay you like $12 an hour plus tips. And the tips were $200 to maybe sometimes $700-800 a night. So
Wow. I'm like, and you left?
Yeah, that's the thing there.
So when did you decide, I'm done, and no more waitressing, no more cocktailing for me?
So I had moved out to LA. At first I quit my first waitressing job in Florida in 2009, and that's when I came out to LA. I saved up $10,000, and I was like, you know what, my grandmother lived out here, and she had an extra bedroom with a twin-size bed. She said I could have it, so I was like, I'm on my way. And then, so I used to, my mother and my grandmother, they moved to, like, they lived in Vegas now. So LA used to be really tough to live, you know, so I go down there and they have this thing called poker season at the casinos. So they get all these people from all over the world to play in these poker tournaments. So they need extra help during the summertime with cocktail waitresses. So they hire a large group of girls in to work the casinos, and then they'll lay them off towards the like summer. So it was the end of the summer. So that was perfect for me. So I used to go down there, cocktail waitress, and then come back with like a few $1,000s and be able to live again. But I told myself I wasn't going to do that anymore in 2014, and that's been the last job that I worked.
What made you tell yourself you weren't going to do it anymore? What was the moment?
Because I do stand-up and acting and stuff like that, I was missing out on auditions and opportunities, because this was before self-tapes are as popular as they are now because of COVID. But before, you had to be in person, and I couldn't be in person. I couldn't go from Las Vegas to LA, and then it was like they let you know the night before. It was just not feasible, right? Because another thing, when you cocktail waitress, you were on call, so you couldn't even miss work and get fired, or you go there for an opportunity to audition. It wasn't a guaranteed job, so I would always choose to work there. And then in stand-up, every time I came back, I had to reacclimate myself with people. They act like they forgot about me because I was gone for 4.5 months. So it was like starting over. So I got sick of that, and I said, you know what, I got to put my 100% into this and just stay here and tough it out, and that's what I did. And
you know, if you're in LA, the minute you gone, you forgotten.
Yeah.
The minute you are gone, you are forever forgotten. So yeah, I can understand that part for sure. Well, so what impact would you say your profession has had on others, Brian?
I think it's served as a guiding light. As aforementioned, I believe that each of us is born with a unique gift and talent, and I love to be in a position where, hey, if Brian can overcome a number of challenges in his life to pursue his God-given talent and gifts and ability, then I can do it too. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard a number of stories where people told me they started taking classes on the side, or start pursuing a certain vocation, or even upwards of quitting their job. You know, I've heard a number of those stories over the years, and I'm grateful to, you know, someone seeing what they're capable of by seeing me make a few decisions within my life.
Yeah. What do you think you sacrificed?
You know, you sacrifice fear, you sacrifice comfort, you sacrifice, you know, as much as
That's good.
I'm just saying, as much as
comfort, you sacrifice fear and comfort. That is good. You do. Yes.
Yeah, because so often we don't put the left foot in front of the right in the direction of our passion and dreams, because we like to be safe, we like to be comfortable, and we allow that fear to overrun and run our lives, and that doesn't necessarily get you in the direction of your dreams, you know. So you very much have to sacrifice that place of comfort in order to move forward, you know. I see the little clip over there. You know,
like, is that you? You dance while you DJ?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and they used to tease me at first when I first started DJing. They don't know if you want to DJ or if you want to dance. Well, I want to do both, because I just love the way music makes me feel. And as someone in that position, if I'm energetically giving that vibe to you, it's reciprocated. You then in turn are dancing and having a good time as well.
Yeah. Octavius, let's talk about people today wanting success instantaneously.
Yeah, I agree. To what you said, and especially in this world of social media, and the pandemic hasn't helped that any. I think that as a fashion designer, a lot of people don't know that overnight successes sometimes take like 10 years. Because just my history, I'm proud of the history that I've been able to accomplish, and I think that especially now, easy come, easy goes. Because a lot of people don't know that even though as a black designer already, I'm already probably a couple steps behind a lot of my counterparts, but my history includes the fact that, Terrell McCraney, when he won an Oscar for Moonlight, that was my white tuxedo that Jimmy Kimmel said that was the best tuxedo of the night. And so you have someone like me, and you have like Tom Ford, and you have all these different people. But it takes time to, kind of learn your craft and that kind of thing. So I'm very happy of my journey, and I think that it's just like, it's just like stocks and into my banking terms. I think, the risk and return. But I think that the longevity that I've had, I've been able to see a lot of those things in fruition. But I think that the younger generation that, they want instant gratification about what they do, because I've had some interns that work for me that they don't really know that they see the glamour in what I do because it's really a highlight reel, but they don't know that Octavius, even though I had a tuxedo that was on a Grammy award-winning artist, they don't know that I was out picking the buttons, that I was on the ground, like actually going and getting the fabrics, and I was actually sewing this stuff, you know what I mean? And so I think that we have to look at that journey, and humility goes a long way is what I would say about that,
Yeah. Brian brought up fear, so I want to talk about fear, because anytime you decide to do something different, something out of the norm, something non-traditional, the fear takes control of you. So how, and anyone can answer this question, how do you get rid of the fear?
When somebody told me what fear is, fear means that you're preparing to do something brave. So I welcome fear, and especially being an entrepreneur, that if you're comfortable, if you feel safe, that anybody that I know that is doing anything from Queen Latifah, everyone, we all feel the same. The minute that you don't have fear is the minute that you should leave the game and whatever you're doing, because you're really setting yourself up for to be brave.
Brian?
Sure, I agree with him. I tell my friends, no matter what you're doing, if you're up to something good and going to great, fear is going to be with you. So you might as well tell fear to, buckle up, because we're going on this ride together. You'll never rid yourself of fear. And if you don't feel that fear, then you're too comfortable. You're not progressing yourself to the next level. So I've literally had conversations in my truck, like, hey, yo, fear, we doing this. And you have to have that level of conversation so that you can move forward in spite of your fears.
Yeah, I've had to talk to my fear too. There have been several times where, especially if you're getting ready to go on stage or in front of an audience or even in front of a camera, you have to talk to your fear, like right then, like, I'm going to need you to step aside because I got something to do. You know what I'm saying? Daphne, fear. What's the advice you can give people about handling fear, because it's paralyzing?
Yeah, and I think fear is one of the biggest dream killers. So don't let it kill your dream. Go after it.
So, but
fear's numbers is like, boy, they like Katrina. They got high numbers, yeah. So don't let it kill it.
Yeah, I think it's fear and then comparison. So often we're looking at someone else's journey in comparison to ours. Like, comparison is the thief of all dreams, because what someone else had to go through to get on the other side to achieve success in their life, it's going to look completely different than what it requires of you. So the more you looking on the gram and comparing yourself to what this person did and that person didn't do, you're missing the opportunity to be present to your own life.
Yeah, well, we're not going to miss an opportunity to be present and come right back. But we're leaving right now on the Tammy MacShow Show on Fox Soul. We'll be back.
Were you really blindsided by Portia and this whole relationship thing?
Absolutely, 100%. Cocktails with the Queen.
Peekaboo. Check it out. I got something that's in production called Batwing, over and out. I got something called this is bigger than something, because this is a tribute to my father, Thomas Grant. I call this Tommy Grant's Franks. This is a mixtape stream. It's on YouTube. You can spell Franks with a K or a C. It's on YouTube. Check it out.
Therese says, great show, love me some Daphne. Speaking things into existence is definitely real, but first you have to believe in yourself because others won't. And then a question for Daphne. Let's see here. Soulmate has a question for Daphne. Would you advise someone in the entertainment political industry that wants to do TV to move to LA or to continue their podcast, since opportunity with platforms are different and can be successful anywhere? I just added that little last part.
I want to say, I don't want to be the person to tell you to move out here. You would say, oh no, it's her. I think that if you feel it, just do it. Always go with your first mind. But nowadays, because of the internet, when I first moved out to LA, social media wasn't popping. I remember Vine coming through in maybe like 2012 or 13 or something like that after I had already moved here. So back when I moved here, it was about moving here, right? Somebody told me palm trees don't grow in the North Pole, so if you wanted to grow, you had to be where the opportunities were. But nowadays with, the internet and all these different platforms, it's just making sure you maximize. So a podcast, you only can put up an episode a week. The average person is only doing one a week. So I suggest that you take that podcast and you cut it into several different clips. Because if you post, like now, you make one podcast into 4 clips, now you can upload to YouTube 5 or 6 times a week. And so then you'll see yourself get that growth. And just look at, we don't know where Kevin Samuels is, but this guy has hit 1 million subscribers. So it doesn't matter where you are, because if you make enough wave in the city that you are in, they'll bring you out to LA. And that's a fact.
That is a fact, yeah. JOA says, the universe sent me this show. I was thinking about moving to LA. Thanks for the show, Fox Soul. Yeah, I'm kind of like Daphne with that. I don't know about telling you whether to move to LA or not, but I'll tell you, I'll be telling people in a heartbeat, don't come out here. And it's not even worth it anymore. You know what I mean? Like the gas prices, the rent, it's just not, the food is just not worth it anymore in terms of where we are socially and through the internet, where we are. You literally can be a star from wherever you're sitting right now, if that's your goal. You don't have to be. I don't think Country Wayne lives in LA, does he, Daphne?
No, he lives in Atlanta. And another thing too, a lot of people think that their work ethic is just going to magically change once they get to LA. So you need to focus on your work ethic and the amount of hours you're putting in, your consistency in the city that you're in first before you move to LA, because you're not going to magically get this superpower that's going to make you want to start working and doing everything. So focus on where you at in the city that you're at right now. Try to make a wave in that city until you outgrow that market.
Yeah. Yeah. There was this saying, first you get your block, then you get your neighborhood, then you get your city, then you get your state, and then the world is yours. So you have to focus in increments.
Playing Monopoly. I was like, ooh, I like Monopoly, but I see it.
Right. We're going to take a quick break while we handle these Monopoly pieces and come right back on the Tammy MacLake Show on Fox Soul.
I don't know what to call you after Miami.
And we're going to get back to our music. Right? Let's rock.
Real quick, put it down, baby, stepping it up. Top back, bust off, not giving a fuck. Keeping it rough, not where you know that's fucking with us. God beef and blessed to us, we killing the fuss. Giving it up, my live niggas laying the cup.
Which make it easier for a group of people to pursue and achieve more dreams. Do you think, I know there's this big deal right now with TikTok and some of the social media platforms that they're monetizing white people over black people. I'm not sure how that works in the fashion world, but I did hear you talk about Tom Ford, Octavius, and Brian, I absolutely know that white DJs get paid a lot more coins than black DJs. I'm only saying it because I'm one. So does that affect your dreams? Being black, Brian?
No, of course not. Black is my gift. You know, black is beautiful. We know that already. I don't adopt the mentality that because of my race, I am operating from a place of lesser than in any capacity. That's not how my mom raised me, my dad raised me to be. They let me know that I'm a black man in America, and no matter where I go, don't forget it. And, you know, because I'm a black man, I operate from a deep place of creativity and ingenuity. And every time I go in a room, my head is held high. I don't have the expectation that someone will view me less than, or whether my hair is in locks or cut off or anything. And speaking specifically to the DJs, those DJs who may amass more money is because they're also producing, writing, composing, and a host of other elements in addition to the aspect of DJing. And, you know, even with myself, my team and I, we host an event called BN Block Party. And because it came out in response to being tired of waiting for someone to get the opportunity that I want, you know? And so we build out what's now a mini festival, and we're on tour this summer, traveling to Atlanta, DC, Oakland, a second date in Los Angeles, and it represents the epitome of what I love. Black people, people of color come together, whether you're, you know, straight, LGBTQ plus, what have you, whether you have $100 in your pocket or $1 million in your pocket. We take away all the things that separate us. No VIP, no guest list, no sections. And we bring us together to have a good time, you know, and this is, for my team and I, this is a reflection of our festival. This is what we do to celebrate our culture. We're not necessarily waiting for anyone to give us an opportunity. We're creating the opportunity. So to answer that, no, because the race of my skin gives me power. I mean, the color of my skin gives me power. It doesn't take anything away from me.
What's the origin of the Behan block parties?
I mean, it started as a birthday party because a local club told me that I couldn't play trap music. I'm so, oh, you want my crowd, you want our money, but you don't fully respect the breadth of our culture, you know? And so we decided to host a block party as the antithesis of some of the things that people would experience in nightlife. You know, oftentimes young ladies would be concerned that is my dress not tight enough, my heels high enough, or have enough makeup on, and guys would feel like they need to spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on bottle service in order to be admitted. You know, so we dispelled all those things. Give everyone, whether you're a celebrity or not, everyone pays for a ticket to come in, and we have an environment where everyone is treated equally. And you know, for a long time, I thought that pretense and the bougie lifestyle was only here in LA. But what I realized in traveling and DJing is that culture exists in epicenters across the nation. And so that's what gave us the confidence to take this movement that we have on the road, because in every market, people want to come out and simply have a good time.
That's dope. There's a lot to be said about rejection. Daphne, you talked about it yourself. The reason why you started creating your own content is because sketch shows rejected you. Have any of those sketch shows come back at you right now?
Well, one is canceled, and the other one, you know, they might knock on my door one day. But other than that, in the meantime, I will continue to create and continue to constantly put out content and just live up to my full potential.
Do you believe that being an Instagram influencer in the way that you are, so I'm speaking of people that do specifically what you do you believe that it is a gateway to television, a gateway to film?
I think it's possible also with the amount of work you put into it. So a lot of influencers, and not all, you know, some of them don't take acting classes, so then they show up and they don't know how to properly block the scene, because the thing with your camera, they don't know how to really say the lines and not be the character that they are in the content that they create. So, you know, as you know, Tammy Mac, from being a trained actress, is that's also a skill that you have to have, and a skill that you have to train. So with that being said,
and baby, put it down, baby, stepping it up. Count back, bust off like giving a fuck. Keeping the rough, no, even when that's messing with us. Got beef with us, it's us, we killing the fuss. Keeping it rough, and I want niggas laying the cup.
I think what both of them have been able to do is create new math. But what I will say for the fashion design industry, for example, one of my counterparts, Sergio Hudson, who designed the outfit that Michelle Obama wore for the inauguration, right? And what he said it best in fashion design. You know, it is great to be able to have that notoriety as a black designer. It does not always ring the cash register though, because we have the designers who are not of color, who are actually using some of those things to actually monetize from that, so that, especially in my industry, I think right now it's been a great time for black designers, because now there's an initiative and there's awareness. Like I said, I've been privileged to be able to, go head to head, like I said, with the Oscar tuxedo. Shout out to Ray J, who gave me an opportunity to say, this is who I want to design for my wedding. Mark Ballas, who was not of color, said, I want you to do my wedding, Tatiana Ali. So there's been a resurgence where they like, look, let's focus on there are designers that are of color that we can create new math with that have been marginalized in the design world, and let's bring them to the forefront. But it is like Brian and Daphne said, create new math and create your own opportunity, because especially, like I said, a fashion designer who's
knowledge, and also you can build these platforms and also reach a mass amount of people. So although they may do things like shadow banning, which black creators
Ted dancing on that ass, Fred Sanford on that ass.
Unapologetically, Daphne, how can we find you? And tell us about some upcoming shows we might need to attend real quick.
So you can find me on all listening platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those websites. Also find out anything about me on my website at www.iamdsprings.com. And also I have a show coming up August 5th through 7th in San Diego, and then September 10th through the 11th in DC at the DC Comedy Loft.
How can we get a hold of some of those eyeglasses, Octavius?
Let me tell you, not that I got them right here, but let me just show you. We just launched, but we are in partnership to be in some very high-end stores, but prescription, so they're available everywhere, but nativekin.com, octaviusterry.com, but I'm actually going to New York to actually finish our lookbook and everything, so I'm so excited about that. And we're going to be in pop-up shops, New York, LA, Miami.
I will be there. I will be at your pop-up shop in LA, so please send me a note, please.
Brian Henry on the tour for his thing, so I'll be there.
I need to pay, bro.
Speaking of Brian, you have another annual event that you've taken on the road, the Be Him Block Party, one in August in DC. Is there anything your DC audience can expect that'll be different?
Oh, they can expect this an amazing crowd. And we bring on local DJs from that market to make sure that we're speaking to the uniqueness, like a lot of go-go, a lot of Baltimore.
I was going to say, there's going to be a lot of go-go at that party.
Oh, absolutely, And so we're taking it to DC on Saturday, August 14th. Another date here in Los Angeles on September 25th. And then we're going to wrap up the season here in the States in Oakland. And we have one more international date that we're working to close out. I'm excited to announce that very, very, very soon.
I just need one word.
Low games with a nigga strange, the range. Low games with a nigga hang, man. Low games with a nigga. Low games with a nigga bang, bang. Low games. Go ahead, man. Low names. Go ahead, man. Low games with a nigga strange, the range. Low games with a nigga hang, man. What you say?
Good night. Support Fox Soul TV Tariq. Support Tariq.